from a macro standpoint, Jensen Huang and Nvidia are more important than Jerome Powell. Like everyone will be watching their earnings, and if that softens, everything goes down. Like that is just, the market is anchored to that, and that is the proxy you got to watch. I'm not watching Powell. I'm watching the treasury rate. Yeah. If the treasury rate holds 5 and is sub 5, the most important thing will be looking at Nvidia and their earnings and what that stock is doing. Because if that doesn't do well, we're going to have a problem on our hands.
In an industry as volatile and vicious as crypto, sometimes all you need to do is survive. Mm-hmm. The amount of growth and money that you personally can make and your company can make if you're a founder is just, this is the year. However, this is the year that can also kill you in 2026 and 2027 if you don't make the right decisions this year. Tired of losing track of all your tokens? Uniswap Wallet is designed to easily manage, store, and swap your crypto all in one place. Access thousands of tokens across Ethereum and more than 10 other chains instantly by using Uniswap's wallet today. Download it today. It's available on Chrome, iOS, and Android. Hit the link in today's show notes to get started. What's going on, everybody? We missed you. What's up? Happy New Year, everybody. Santi, what's happening, man?
Happy New Year. Can we all stop saying Happy New Year in every single chat and email, please? Thank you very much. Now that we've got that out of the way. It's like, anyways, it is Sunday. I'm very jet lagged. I'm not saying this as a caveat that my predictions are going to be wrong regardless. If I get 12 hours of sleep or 0 hours of sleep, there is no upside, ladies and gentlemen, to doing predictions. But as part of this exercise, this is sort of a tradition because we're going on how many years here at Empire?
I think this is year 4. No, 2021, 2, 3, 4. This is year 5.
5 years. It's like the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. We've probably done more than 10,000 hours at this point. I ain't getting better in predictions. So I'll preface by saying it is still a very interesting exercise to reflect. Like you and I were talking about, like we obviously put out predictions in 2024, 2023, 2022, 2021. So we've been doing this for a while. Should we?
Yeah, let's reflect on 2024. I do just want to say like a little housekeeping on Empire. I feel like Empire has kind of been sleeping the last couple of weeks. Like it's been a little slow the last couple of weeks. And I think we're coming out with a bang this year. That's my first prediction for the year. So first off, I haven't even told you this. We are going to do a lot more in-person recordings in New York because I know you're spending more time in New York. So we're building a studio. So I think that'll bring some fresh energy. Hey. And then the other thing is I'm just looking at our upcoming guest list. We've got like Tether CEO. We've got Richard, the Binance CEO, recording this week. We've got a very spicy stablecoin app. I think we missed a lot of the AI agent stuff. So I would love to have like virtuals and some of those folks on. So yeah, just appreciate everyone for listening last year. And I think it's a big year ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's review 2024. So our theme that we said, I actually think these were you never get predictions right, because with predictions, you want to kind of stretch your predictions a little bit so they seem like they're crazier predictions, right? Because if you just do high probability predictions, it's pretty boring. But I will say our big theme that we said for 2024 was this is going to be the risk on year. And I think we got that big theme. So I'm looking through some of your predictions from 2024.
I can pull it. I can share my screen if you want.
Yeah, do you want to share your screen and let's talk through them, and then we can talk through mine.
All right. And I adopted this format from, how do I do this? From the JP Morgan, The Alchemist Report, which I found really good. It just came out recently. I think the first prediction, the most important one you just mentioned, and these are all color coded for people that are watching. So the green is obviously got it decently right, which was 2024 rates come down, liquidity gets injected into the system. And it's a pretty good year. I debated whether to put it yellowish because rates have come up again after the election, and the Fed, so rates, like technically the 10-year treasury is up again. But throughout the year, I think the bigger picture there is still true.
Yeah. Let's start with what you got right, then what you got kind of right, and then what you got wrong. So let's go through the greens. Yeah.
The one that I obviously got right was I predicted at least 10 unicorns in the Solana ecosystem, and that was very much true. A lot of it was, to be fair, not in the maybe areas that I anticipated. Like it was sort of like Pengu, didn't anticipate that happening. A lot of the AI stuff, like meme coins. At the time when we came out with these predictions, like WIF and some of these, like you started to see a lot of activity, meme coin activity. But I would say that if you had asked me a year ago and said, "Hey, out of these unicorns, what is the composition?" I would have said like more like blue chip type of protocols, like the Jupiters of the world, Helium, Jito. The one that really surprised me was Radium. Actually, it was sort of like something that I tweeted about the other day, which was like you were sitting there and seeing all this activity, and like if you're using Jupiter, everything's routed through Radium. So that was a trade that I really missed. But anyways, as a category, that was very much right. Um, the other one was I was bullish on move based languages and protocols. So that was, I think, categorically, like Movement just launched, and that's been very well received, and there's a lot of excitement there. Sui had a fantastic year, Aptos as well. So just Move as a category and Move-based protocols really, I think, hit stride, and the momentum is really strong going into this year. And by the way, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but feel free to jump in on these predictions.
No. You can do yours, then I'll do mine. Your fourth one that you got right.
my fourth one was, Ethereum shifts narrative to monetary premium. That was really a point where like the Ethereum community just had to like go through this like come to Jesus moment and like really revisit the narrative. I wasn't as vocal, so that was like right. Where I sort of made a comment here that says like I sort of didn't anticipate base being like the saving kind of face of Ethereum, and that being like the Ethereum community, that being like a mechanism for the Ethereum community to really rally behind that. A lot of the Ethereum community is very critical of the activity happening in Solana. And then as soon as it happened on base, like it was like, yeah, like memes on base are cool. Memes in Solana are not cool. So that was like very much the anchor point for the Ethereum community. And I think going into this year, not to jump ahead too much, but I think that base combined with real world assets like Bitwise, sorry, what is it? BlackRock really building a lot of their stuff on Ethereum. I think that has been like something that the Ethereum community is really kind of recentered, and projects like Mega ETH really kind of like really low latency stuff on Ethereum has really, I think, helped reorient and give more focus to the Ethereum community in spite of like Justin Drake's presentation, which was like 40 years out in the future kind of thing.
Yeah. What did you get kind of right? We'll do green, yellow, red. What were the yellows?
See, I just gotta say, Yano's great. Like normally, I would have like gone like, "What did you get wrong?" immediately.
No. We gotta keep doing some more good stuff. Yeah.
True. So in yellows, I was very bullish on Solana coming into the year. My prediction was that Solana would reach 40% of ETH's market cap, and that the sold price in a very extreme scenario would go up to 750, like definitely break all-time high. And I predicted that ETH would be at 5K. So that was like more of a price prediction. It's in yellow because Solana reached 30% of Ethereum's market cap. Like it went from 0.04 to 0.06. It's 50%. But I would have thought that the market would have woken up to that a lot. And I think if you go and listen to the episodes with like Avichal, Hasib, we did a number throughout the year, the number of VC activity in Solana. I think that the momentum, like second half of 2024, suggests that like the activity, I think, really picked up, especially after Breakpoint. But Fire Dancer still kind of, I thought it, still like haven't, to my knowledge, hasn't really launched fully yet. But anyways, that was in yellow because Sol did break and touch all-time high, but it didn't get to that level. The second one that I got that was sort of a directionally in line, but is in yellow, is Bitcoin layer 2s. I predicted that Bitcoin layer 2s, there would be many launches, and then ordinals would continue to grow.
I actually remember this one. It was slightly different. There would be one Bitcoin layer 2 that launched, kicking off a renaissance of people building on Bitcoin. I actually would have put this in green for you.
Okay.
Yeah, to give you a little credit here, I remember talking about this. You said there would be a Bitcoin layer 2 that launched, and it would kick off a frenzy of people building on Bitcoin.
Right.
And I don't think the prediction was like, TVL would flow on Bitcoin or anything like that. It was just that this Bitcoin renaissance would kick off. And I think that very much happened.
Okay.
And I think last year, I would categorize as like the fundraising year and like the launching year for some of these companies. And
Mhm.
I would say if we're going to see this happen, like this is probably the year we see
Right.
users and TVL and stuff like that. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ordinals definitely came down. The hype really
Yeah.
came down. So that, but yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you have Babylon, you have Mezzo, a lot of activity on those protocols. You have a lot of fundraising happening. So yeah. The other one I was perhaps really bullish. I predicted AI coins would reach 100 billion in market cap. As of today, it's like half of that, so 51 billion per coin gecko.
And for context, I think we started the year around 10 billion, right?
10. Yeah, I said it. This is like a 10x.
Yeah.
I put it in yellow because obviously it didn't reach 100. It did a 5x. And more importantly, the composition of that, like a lot of it, like especially recently, you mentioned virtuals, like the AI meme coins is something that I definitely didn't see happening. But yeah.
Yeah.
And
this gets to a broader theme that I want to talk about with predictions, but I'll save that.
Right.
For yeah.
Right. So I'll keep moving faster now. I said parallelization becomes a hot narrative. I think like it wasn't like a narrative. It's more, I don't know. I didn't think it'd get any hotter than 2024 because you ended 2024 with Monad raising a big round. Obviously, a lot of these move-based protocols are like Avalanche, like parallelization is a thing, but it wasn't like talked about as much. You know what I mean? More so like infra on the backseat and like people not really thinking about that as much. The one I got yellow-ish or really wrong was like Cosmos getting more traction. This I would actually put in red. Candidly,
the prediction that just kills everyone every
it's just
year.
it's a widowmaker. To be fair, like Celestia, I think sovereign rollups. I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks, like just exploring that, and I think that for that reason, I put it in yellow. Injective, I didn't hear as much. Like I pointed out those two protocols. I will make a point here. I missed Avalanche because Avalanche, I think, like has adopted a lot of really like mechanism design and stuff from Cosmos, but it's just a better implementation. Tell you the truth, like I didn't even have Avalanche in my predictions in 2024.
I remember. Do you remember the price predictions from last year? I included Avalanche in a price prediction. You said, "Why are you including Avalanche?"
Right? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Like, I think there's something interesting happening there.
Credit to you. So the last one was I was very bullish on. I said Coinbase would surpass all-time high. It would reach $100 billion valuation, so that would imply $500 per share. Coinbase did break prior all-time high, but it peaked at 350 and it's now in a 200-ish level.
Yeah.
So I think that's really it. On the things I got like in yellow, the ones I got really, really wrong. So let's start there. These are the ones I love the most. I predicted there would be a huge wealth effect in Solana, primarily a lot of airdrops, and that would flow into NFTs. I think the NFT, as throughout most of the year, just NFTs didn't get much love. A lot of the flows just went into AI meme coins. But like just for context, like MATLABs, which is probably the premier before Pink, I guess we want to include Penguins there. But I think MATLABs as a category, just the NFTs like peaked in January of 2024 and then is down 61% on the year. So if you would have gone long NFTs in Jan, you would have gotten crushed. Sorry, folks. None of this is.
We did have one good NFT prediction.
Because
the NFT trade of the year is sell your Bored Apes, buy Pudgy Penguins.
Yeah, Pudgy Penguins. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll credit you for that, actually. You and Mike, but you guys really, and then Luca coming on the pod, but like you were talking about this way before. Anyways, the other one I got really wrong was in a good way, and I'm happy it didn't happen, was I think we were very nervous about restaking and it having some like major bug. Thankfully it did not happen to my knowledge. But I still think it's something to look out for.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that is in red and not in green.
Yeah.
I was very hyped on SVM, the Solana virtual machine. I think it has been delayed. Like Eclipse hasn't, I more so on the sentiment side, I think it's come down. I think there was a lot of hype in 2024 and now it didn't really kind of truly materialize as much as I wanted to. So for that reason, it's kind of in red. Could argue it could be in yellow, but I put it in red. And then the last one, this is probably something that is worthy of a discussion after you go through your list, but I would have thought, and it's tied to the Solana price prediction, that the Ethereum TVL would drop dramatic, like from 55% at the end of 2023 to 25%. And it's still at 56. Like it didn't really change. And, I guess you could argue it's a lot of L2 activity, like BlackRocks of the world, like RWAs.
Or are you counting the L2 activity in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. Yeah, it's like a coin gecko mark. So I use the exact same
Yeah.
measure. But yeah, that really surprised me, I'd say.
All right. So how many predictions do you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we got 4 out of 14 are green. We've got 6 out of 14 are yellow. We've got 4 out of 14 are red. All right. We'll take it.
To be fair, I think you just need to get one prediction very, very right. And you said at the beginning of the episode it was going to be a good year. You go long.
Do you want to talk about any of these? What surprised you the most?
Yeah, I do this a lot in reflecting, but the divergence of returns was pretty interesting, right? If you weren't in Bitcoin, memes, or AI or Solana, you were just on ETH. Like, good luck. And I think I see that in the returns of a lot of funds that I'm an investor in. Yeah, it was very much a have and have nots. You had to get specific things right, whereas in prior cycles, prior years, probably wasn't the case, right?
Yeah.
So that was, I by the way, think that continues to persist as this asset class matures more and more so. Like, I think you'll see a lot of dispersion, right? Like, and not this cycle, but it would probably take many years, but like there will be a time where like Bitcoin doing its thing is uncorrelated, very like less, the correlation between the tight correlation between Bitcoin and other crypto assets will come down over time. The second one was, in a good way, the US election and the rapid change in mood across the country. Like, I spent a lot of time in New York during the election and just traveling and talking to people, like a complete 180, top to bottom, like people like in crypto, not just in crypto, but like in the tech industry, in Wall Street, in Main Street, I just felt that the country really kind of, whether you voted for Trump or not, like people just were in a position where it's just a breath of fresh air. And it's like really exciting to see that, because for me, the US has always been a land of aspiration, and I feel it again. And I didn't feel that for the last 4 years, which is really tough. And maybe it was COVID tied to that, but like pro innovation, right? And obviously how Trump has made key cabinet hires, Doge, all that stuff really, really surprised me in a good way. And at a personal level, it just kind of coming to terms that investors can be builders too, and investing, like in building an investing firm that I've, obviously was a big part of Parify, but also just like a lot of it was like, you've heard me talk about time and time again here or last year about the Founders podcast. And that was like super instrumental to my like re-underwriting of seeing myself as a builder, and obviously starting something new at the end of the year.
Good. 4 for 14. We'll take it.
All right.
Let's look at mine. 2024 predictions.
Look at this.
We got a big old doc here. Okay, so the first one I said was L2's pivot again. Actually, we both had this. I don't know what we were thinking with parallelization. I said L2's pivot again, rebrand as parallelized EVMs. They add native yield. I said L2s would follow Blast and add native yield, and that this was going to, I remember talking about this is going to get out of hand really quickly. I don't think that ended up happening. I don't think a bunch of L2s went and added a bunch of native yield. You just saw this with like, Polygon's bridge, like they're adding some yield onto the bridge, it seems like. But I don't think you saw a bunch of L2s follow Blast's lead. Let's see. Bridges start offering yield. We didn't see that this year. I would guess we'll start seeing it again this year.
By the way, on the yield thing, I think Athena just took the world by storm, and it was like Blast really kind of faded.
Yeah.
It's an unfair kind of comment, but I just think like the
no, I think that's right. I said people will not solve interoperability between chains. I think that was generally correct. And I said ZK will not have the year people think it will. And I think that was generally correct as well.
Very correct. Awesome.
The second prediction that I definitely got right was prediction markets. I said monster year ahead for prediction markets. This is the year they go mainstream. And I said the thing that's going to drive this is actually less about the prediction markets being so good, but more of a lack of trust in traditional markets. And I said traditional prediction markets. I meant in traditional media is going to bring them mainstream. The thing I got wrong was I thought someone would launch the ability to launch your own prediction market which was going to drive this market like 100 times bigger. Like I thought you would be able to go on Polymarket and launch your own market, but yeah, I would say I got this one right. Monster year for prediction markets. Institutional adoption beyond what you could have imagined. And I broke this into a couple categories. I said you're not bullish enough on the Bitcoin ETF. I said ETH. So I got that right. At least one more country buys Bitcoin publicly. I don't think I got that right. I'm pretty sure some other countries are buying Bitcoin. Like I saw Bhutan bought Bitcoin, but like I was thinking like one major country is going to publicly announce that they're, and that did not happen. And then I got this one wrong. I said ETH has a Paul Tudor Jones moment, but for tech investing, gets seen as a tech platform as users flock to crypto apps. I did not get that right. And then I also got this one wrong. I said most of the big CeFi and TradFi players launched their own stablecoins. So it's kind of tied to 2025 predictions, but yeah, I got that one wrong. I also got this one wrong. I said DeFi OGs help take us mainstream. I said there's a resurgence of DeFi OGs, Kane with Infinex, Leshner with Superstate, Stani with Avara. And then Mike and I had a similar one. I wrote Mike's thing here, but Uniswap has a breakout year. Wallet ends up being a sleeper hit. 2024 is the year they turn on the fee switch. I would say most of this did not happen. I mean, Kane had a big year with Infinex and raised the 50 million of the patron NFTs, but yeah, I don't think this was the thing that took us mainstream. Okay, NFTs.
And paired with that, like you could say the ETF was kind of like flows of, it was mixed, I'd say.
Yeah.
Certainly not like the Bitcoin effect.
Okay, I got this wildly wrong. I've said NFTs have a monster year as crypto natives make lots of money. I said NFTs are one of my highest conviction bets going into 2024. I want exposure to all parts of the ecosystem. Sometimes it's good to just have a little egg on your face.
You remember I was going to put on that trade?
Oh yeah.
Solstack, go long Tensorians. Boy, that
levered soul.
I'm happy I didn't do that.
Yeah. So for context, Santi called me one day and do you want to share what you were going to do?
Yeah, you go for it.
I mean, Santi called me one day. He's like, I'm thinking about levering up all of my Solana and just moving the whole Solana stack into Solana NFTs like Mad Lads and Tensorians.
Like borrow against my Sol stack, go long NFTs because I thought like NFTs would have higher beta like on the upside. But this was like, it actually did the complete opposite. Like Mad Lads went down 61%. I would have been very much in the hole there.
Yeah. So I said NFTs mount a major comeback. They become the rotation trade after L1 start to really run again. PFPs aren't dead. They will still be the dominant use case. Oh my God, this is the worst. I said music NFTs make a comeback. Token gated playlists, song royalties, membership, friend tech for music happens. Solana NFTs outperform nearly everything in crypto. Okay, so I'll just period at the end of that sentence. That was wrong. What I got right was I said Pudgy Penguins have a big year. Anyone who raised a boatload of money, Yuga, Doodles, Azuki, Moonbirds, etc., does not do well. Companies adopt NFTs to reach crypto natives, not to reach their existing audience. Crypto natives become one of the most sought after groups, similar to Henry's. Henry's are high income. What is it? High earners, net, whatever it is.
I'm actually curious. What are Henry's?
It's a very sought after advertising group. I should know this because we
high earners, rich, not rich yet.
High earners, not rich yet. They're like the most sought after group for fintechs and banks and stuff like that. And then I said Pudgy's have massive year. Okay, so and then I said.
By the way, I will give you credit here because I know that you were very big on E, and you expressed that you very the Pudgy Penguins had a great year. Like and with the airdrop, like you would have killed it. And I think it was again a lot of dispersion, right? You had to get that right for NFTs. Everything else,
tough. And we also talked about, we said Solana airdrops would drive wealth into that eco and have a huge wealth effect, which would flow into NFTs. And then the last one, and then I actually want to talk about 6 again, is, and I said there would be this new wave of media companies in crypto, and some of the legacy players would go downhill, and there would be new players that started in the bear market. They would hopefully do things on chain. And I would call out a few new media companies I'm watching, like Blockspace Media, I think is doing a good job. The Roll Up. Andy, the Roll Up are doing a really good job. There's just cool things happening. So, so one of my biggest takeaways here, Santi, is We actually got a good amount right. I know yours was 4 out of 14, and mine was, I had egg on my face reading those. We actually got a lot right thematically. Like
Mm-hmm.
airdrops would drive this massive wealth effect, but then the actual second order impact of that we got wrong.
Right.
And if you picked the actual coins that we were talking about on January 2024, and you like AI, I was like, I think you called out like Render, Akash, like BitTensor, things like that. That was actually wrong, but you nailed AI. Or like NFTs, like would do
Yeah.
well. Mad Lads didn't, but Pudgy's did.
Oh,
So it's like
yeah.
thematically, these predictions are interesting, and I think it's something for people to remember as they're listening to these episodes and reading people's tweet threads and things like that. It's like think about it thematically, and then make your own decisions on how you will allocate based on that strategy. Don't
Right.
just blindly follow people's token picks, and then make sure you are comfortable. This was actually probably the biggest lesson of this year investing for me, was make sure you're comfortable readjusting. Do you remember I went into the year, I was like, I think you just want to sit and hold
Oh yeah.
for the year.
Yeah.
You're like, no. You
No,
gotta always be readjusting. Yeah.
to be fair, I think this was a year where I was way more agile
Yeah.
in the publics, in the liquid stuff. On the venture side, I was fortunate to I kept investing to the bear the last 3 years, and I'm just sitting on that. I'm not like jumping out as valuations have come up. This year was more like I feel really good about the venture side of the house. Valuations have come up. Like I'm not jumping out of my seat to invest above 100 million vals. Like that's not my thing. But on the public side, I was way more agile, and it was a year where it paid to be agile. Like if you were paying attention, if you were
Yeah.
for me, a lot of it was just paying attention to sectors that otherwise I would have probably just kind of been like lazy to jump
Yeah.
on. But
I
it was
mean, we got a lot
like
of like what we thought was going to happen, right? But
yeah,
the TLDRs, it flowed into memes. It
yeah,
didn't flow
yeah,
into what we thought. Like,
yeah. I think what you said, I would dovetail that and just say, none of it matters if you don't get the asset right. So like
yeah.
you'd be right about the theme. So like it's just this is the nature of the game. It's not meant to be easy, but I think you have to you can't be dispersed. Like if you were to pick AI, like it pays to be there and just paying attention. And like there's always like one or two. There's always two or three like bets that you can make. And the nice thing about crypto being venture is that you can express that view in a liquid manner and like quickly rotate. If it wasn't if it was the virtuals competitor and you had a position in both virtuals and the other one, you could have like probably cut the other one and like just adjusted the bag so that you're.
Mhm.
But you know what I mean, but expressing the view on both, I tend to do that a lot. It's like, all right, AI, and then I'm pick two, and then see those how they perform, or like goat and the other one, or like you know what I mean, like whiff and bonk,
Yeah.
like these sort of things, right?
The last thing was our price predictions, which will tie into my other takeaway. So you said 100K BTC. I said 80K BTC. So we both got that. You said 6K ETH. I said 8K ETH. You said
Yeah.
750 Sol. I said 600 Sol. And I said 250 Avalanche, which hopefully did not take that bet. Because I
Where's
was
that
wrong.
lunch now?
Avalanche probably around $40.
Okay.
I would,
What made you say that, by the way? Do you
I
recall?
had I remember saying this. I said I had just had like 6 different conversations with people who they were like 6 different institutions, because we were like doing DAS and we were talking to a lot of the
Mhm.
institutions. They were all doing things with Avalanche. I was like, wow, that is.
So yeah, yeah. Avalanche was at 34 bucks
I mean,
this time last year,
It's flat on
and
the
it's
year.
basically flat. Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Interesting.
traded down to like 20, I think, and then came back up. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was wrong. My other so one of my takeaways was we got a
By
lot
the way,
right, but if you listen to the actual coins, that then we were wrong. But like the theme was right. The other takeaway is, I think we did the classic overestimate what happens in a year,
right.
underestimate the 10 years. It's like, like Coinbase. Your Coinbase call was right. And if someone listened to you, they could have bought Coinbase at 50. It's trading at what, 250 now? But you said a 10x, not a 5x, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, or
Yeah.
or Sol
Again,
ETH, like you did get Sol ETH right. It
right.
wasn't as bullish as you
Right.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So
would have outperformed a lot of other stuff, but yeah, you're right. The other thing that we totally missed was dinosaur coins like Ripple.
yeah,
Like, my
yeah,
God. The thing that surprised me the most, I'll add one thing, is the TikTok effect. TikTok is a new flow to crypto that is very important. You could argue it's been important in prior years, but I think a lot of the flows for Ripple just come through that channel.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's do 2025 predictions. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. My first prediction, I think there will be a continued growing distinction between have and have nots, particularly like L1s. And that will show up in real usage. Like I think
Mm,
this year will continue. We've been in a storytelling. Everyone says they have the best KPIs, the highest throughput, decentralization, security, whatever. I think it will become more tangible to really just say, okay, there are clearly certain chains that are getting a ton of adoption. So all of that is predicated on I don't have a concrete number, but I just think that there will be far more users coming into crypto that are um, an activity coming on, like whether it's AI agents or just institutions and users through a combination of largely stablecoins and deepen. And I think it will become, you're already starting to see that, like where BlackRock decides to build, where and that leads me, and I singled out a few protocols that I think will be the haves, and that includes Solana, Avalanche, Celestia, particularly sovereign rollups, Barachain, and Mega ETH. The only one there that is, you could argue also like Move as a category. I know it's a lot of protocols, but those are the ones that I think, particularly Mega ETH, like across all of them, I think low latency is a very important component there. Um, I'll credit Hasib came out with really good predictions that I agreed with a lot of them. So I would agree. He also had like low latency being a key thing. A lot of the projects that I'm investing in Mega ETH are like Mega ETH is like that low latency thing in Ethereum. So I think that really lends itself to really interesting applications. So all this to say is that the loyalty on L1s and L2s largely goes away. It's more of, all right, where can real usage start happening? And I think this year I may be overestimating, but from where I sit and what I'm building, I think that and in my process of going through RFPs of going deep in which chain can support like millions and millions of users through that exercise, I think that's my biggest prediction. It's like
mm,
there's I think a very clear divide in tech. Loyalty doesn't matter, but it will be very clear of like put the KPI
mm.
discussion away. It's like I have 30 million users and you don't, or I have 100 million users. Right now, A16Z has a report saying there's only 30 to 60 million like active monthly wallets. um, where do you think the next 100 is going to be? And I think it will be that is what I think I'm excited about. I think it will start to happen this year, and it will be very clear where they go. Is going to be a very big indicator of like which
Mm.
protocol you want to be in those ecosystems.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think the returns flow to those chains or to the apps on those chains?
Excellent question. More so the applications.
Interesting.
Like, I would say it's a levered bet, right? Now you could say, for instance, like if everything is on, we can go into a discussion on how these things are valued. I think it's all relative valuations. Like everything is comp to Ethereum.
Mhm.
So, you know, what's ETH at now? ETH is a $437 billion protocol. And you have Sui at 40, Avalanche at, what is it, 18? Yeah. Like I'm looking at fully diluted, right? 18. You have Aptos at 10ish, fully 11, fully diluted, movement at 10. So again, if you believe Ethereum should be valued and that's a comp,
Yep.
thematically that compresses. Like
Yep.
now you could argue Ethereum's overstated, and then that's like because there is this effect like the maker effect. As soon as you start seeing real usage and cash flows, like I was like, wait a
Mhm.
minute, this is trading at like a really absurd multiple. But let's just say that that's a promise, internet settlement, layer of the internet kind of stuff. Then that's a number.
Yeah.
And there are certain protocols in there that are at least a 10x, a 20x that you can do in size.
Yeah.
including
So let's call this our chains prediction. So that was your chain prediction. My chain prediction, I have a couple like sub bullets here. One is that general purpose chains are dead. I think that you will see a lot more chains that become hyper specific
no pun intended.
What did you say?
No pun intended.
Oh
like
yeah, no, but yeah, exactly. Actually, that's related to another one. It's things like abstract, which are like the consumer chain. Now, I don't actually know what they've done in the chain to make it a consumer chain. I think there are some things that they've actually done to make the wallet experience better on abstract than you can do anywhere else. So it's the consumer chain. Atlas and like Unichain doing things to make them like the DeFi chains. There are actually things that you can do, and I think you will see a lot more very specialized chains do well, and the general purpose chains will not do well. On the back of that, I think this is actually the year you're going to see an app chain really break out, whether it's Hyperliquid or Athena's chain or Unichain. I don't know what it's going to be, but instead of saying, hey, there's these chains and now there's trying to build apps on top of them, I think one of the apps that builds their own chain will become a breakout chain. And then the third bucket of like my sub chain related predictions are, I think you will start to see crazy forms of native yield and some crazy incentives in the form of fees, insane APYs, grants to applications to come build there, fee switches turning on. Mike had a good prediction, I think, which is that DeFi protocols will increasingly hypothecate customer assets as a business model, including bridges, LSTs, et cetera. I think a lot of this yield will end up flowing into it'll just be like general chain yield, where if you move on to insert chain, you will get that yield. And so that will be a new thing that will probably get out of it's actually very similar to my 2024 prediction, which is people will follow Blast and offer native yield. I would just double down on that prediction for this year.
Yep. General purpose. I want to go back to something you said. So like if you're sitting here in a portfolio of $100, like you would include Solana, Ethereum as general purpose.
Yeah, I would include them as general purpose. I mean, I think some of them will still do well, but I think the ones that will do, I think there will be the ones that will start to do better will be the specific chains.
I'm going to add on to that just by saying that what you saw in Ripple this year is very indicative and is a strong signal that the market likes specific narratives.
Yeah,
Ripple is this is the DeFi. Normies think of Ripple as payments.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to understand that. You can, I went through this exercise. Go look at the TikTok commentary. They take the clip from, what is it, Brad Garlinghouse?
Yeah.
And on CNBC, and it's like for normie, it's easy to wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
And in most of my conversations around crypto, people hate the abstract. It's like the generalized stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
So, all right, those are the chain.
Good. I think Ripple. What I'm trying to say is Ripple. The strong performance of Ripple last year makes me excited to see. Okay, what else can I around this sort of theme? And I would agree with you. The application specific stuff is going to do well.
Uniswap Wallet is designed to easily manage, store, and swap your crypto all in one place. Access thousands of tokens across Ethereum and 10 plus chains, including Base, Arbitrum, Optimism, and more. Uniswap's wallet has built-in MEV protection and zero gas fees with swaps that go through Uniswap X. You can also swap with the peace of mind that the code is completely open source and independently audited. Download it today. It's available on Chrome, iOS, and Android. Yeah. All right. Let's do. Do you have any stablecoin predictions? Because I have a couple.
Yes. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I have 4 stablecoin predictions. My first one is that at least one major bank, one major tech company, and one major fintech launches their own stablecoin. And this will do is the payment narrative will start to go mainstream for the first time since, I don't know when payments was really the narrative of crypto, probably 2013 or something like that. There's going to be real businesses adopting payments, and it's going to be very boring to crypto natives, but the stablecoin market share is going to go parabolic, I think. And this will have this second order impact of increasing consumer trust and increasing mainstream adoption of all crypto. And I think will actually be one of the best things that has ever happened for crypto's brand. So prediction number one on stablecoins is that a major bank, a major tech company, and a major fintech are all going to launch their own stablecoin. So I would say maybe it's BlackRock, maybe it's Robinhood, maybe it's Facebook again, tries it, whatever. The second is this is going to become the best thing for crypto's brand. The third is that this is going to help get stablecoin legislation passed in the United States, which is going to have this nice flywheel, which is going to cause more stablecoins, which increases the brand, which gets regulators happier. And then the fourth thing is in terms of the landscape, I think that Tether will keep doing really well because of Howard Lutnick and his position and proximity to Trump. I think that USDC will lose market share this year. Because of a couple of factors. One is you're seeing the rest of the market launch stablecoins, whether it's leveraging folks like Agora or like Anchorage, and I think it was Anchorage, Paxos, Kraken partnered. Robinhood, I think, will launch their own. And the only thing that I think Circle could do to counter this is rapidly launch on a bunch of other chains because they have that competitive advantage. But the other thing is they're going to have to give a higher amount of the quote unquote fee switch back to folks. They're going to have to pass back a lot of the yield. So I think it will be a interesting competitive year for stablecoins. I think USDC will. Everyone is a winner in stablecoins this year, but I think USDC will lose some market share.
Yeah. Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Definitely agree. Stablecoins explode from here. You have currently, looking at CoinGecko, 212 billion in market cap. That includes all the majors. So that's roughly shy of 5.8% of the entire market cap of crypto is stablecoins. That grows to like 10.
You think stablecoins make up 10% of the crypto market share?
They should, I think, just in terms of flows, right? And I think, to your point, the dominance has been fairly well defended by Tether. Like throughout the year, Tether really kind of the composition didn't really move. Like Tether was like like 3/4 of the market cap. Like if you look at dominance in CoinGecko, Tether is like 74% throughout, like super flat. And I would definitely agree with you. Where this bucket really changes over time is USDC. I think Tether will could dominate X Europe, obviously, because I think with Mika coming on, like I think Tether is no longer supported. Tether, but nonetheless, I mean, I think the USDC share goes down. That's the one, and USDC currently is 20% of the market cap. So that I think may grow as a whole, but I think the percentage definitely, I would say, comes down like 15 as you see more, PayPal's of the world, other fintechs. What you just said, I think that the one to lose the most is USDC.
Yeah. All right. Those are the stablecoin predictions. Anything else there?
The only thing that is not quantifiable, but it increases, to your point, non-speculative adoption in crypto, like payments, e-commerce, like stuff like that. That is really interesting.
I've just noticed, even at just on this brand of crypto is still really bad, I would say. Like if you're at dinner parties or holidays or whatever, the thing that hits and that like people do understand, you're getting those BCAs in.
Oh, trying to get to your level.
Stablecoins are the thing that really people understand. They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I just think
it's like Deepin. It's like a no-brainer, right? Especially again, offering tokenized dollars to the world is like, if we just stop there, that's a massive market.
Yeah. All right. Next bucket. Do you have any Bitcoin related predictions?
150K.
Clean and simple.
That's it.
All right. So I agree with that. I think Bitcoin ends the year around 150K. That's what I put as well. I think that there are
I don't know if it ends. It will touch 150 at some point during the year.
Yeah. Okay. Better. I agree with that. I don't think it ends. I don't know what the price is on December 31st. Okay. I think one thing is going to happen is corporate Bitcoin treasury purchases heat up, not because it makes sense, but because it moves the stock price. Do you remember when like Long Island iced tea became like the Long Island blockchain iced tea or whatever it was? I think that you will see. I'm looking at some like Semler Scientific announced a $40 million Bitcoin investment. Their stock surged 30%.
Wow.
There's a bunch of these kind of like, I think it was Rumble, like a video company, announced a Bitcoin purchase. Their stock went up. So, Rumble plans to buy 20 million in BTC and new treasury strategy. Cooler Technology announced a Bitcoin treasury with 21 million investment. Genius Group, Bitcoin. Like I think you'll just start to see if you're a CFO and you say, hey, I could take 20 million of cash and turn it and move it into 20 million of BTC, and I could move my stock price more than 20 million. Like I think you'll start to see some CFOs do that. I think a Bitcoin strategic reserve actually will happen. That is my far out.
I think it happens.
I think a Bitcoin strategic reserve will happen, but it will be much smaller than people think.
Quantum wise, but it's still happens.
Like Lummis I think Lummis says we should go buy 1 million Bitcoins. Right? It's like 5% of all the Bitcoin outstanding. We should go buy 1 million Bitcoin. I think a Bitcoin strategic reserve will happen, but it will not be 1 million Bitcoin. It might be 10,000. It'd be much smaller, maybe 1% of that or 5% of that or something. And then the last thing is, I don't know if you listened to the Bitcoin episode that we did that you couldn't make, unfortunately, but I think a Bitcoin fork will become contentious for the first time since 2017. There will be something. It won't be as big as the big block, small block debate, but there will be something about like, should we add this OP code, this op code into Bitcoin, or there'll be some sort of big debate in Bitcoin. I'm not smart enough or deep enough in the weeds of Bitcoin to really know what it's going to be, but I think there'll be some contentious debate in the Bitcoin world.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, any AI predictions?
Let me ask you one thing. If the strategic reserve happens in your FANA returns, 150, 200, 250?
250. If a strategic reserve happens, Bitcoin's hitting 250.
I think so because of the game theory of other countries.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's off to the races. Other countries. Do you remember when Paul Tudor Jones in May 2020 announced that Bitcoin's going to be the fastest horse in the race? And the thing that did was it removed all of the career risk of a hedge fund buying Bitcoin. If the U.S. government announces a Bitcoin strategic reserve, now we're talking kind of like, there's probably a small likelihood.
Cuts out of the bag.
These are predictions. So it cuts all the career risk of a central banker.
I would argue how much of that's priced in? No, but the fact that it's being talked about, go back 5 years.
Yeah.
7 years.
And what it does is it takes out the career risk for everyone in the world to buy Bitcoin, because it's like, the U.S. government is now doing this. Okay, you're an endowment. Okay, boom, you just got the gold stamp of approval.
The second order effects of that are just huge.
Yeah. So
great.
Okay. Any fundraising or like deal related predictions?
Echo continues to be a major central hub of how.
For those who don't know what Echo, give a little context.
Yeah, Echo is just like a crowdfunding platform. Basically, it's for the community to invest in these projects. Like in the more noticeable raises recently is Mega ETH. They raised at I think exactly the same valuation as what most institutional investors, including myself, invested in, and they offered the community a decent size. I think it was like 10 million or so, or 5. I think it was like a pretty decent slug. But yeah, I got sold out like within seconds or minutes. And so I think you'll see more of that. Like it's not pure on the extreme. Like I had in my predictions, like ICOs make a comeback. I don't think like there may be some ICOs, but I would say that perhaps this is a prediction that I want to talk about, which is I think the extent by which things change, there's going to be disappointment. There is, yes, a lot of like you have a president that launched an NFT connection. He talks about crypto. He is pro crypto, but I still think that perhaps people are just. It's very exciting, but I think the way rulemaking and lawmaking works is that takes time, And even though like you have like there's a separation of power kind of thing, like you have
You're
to
talking about
run the
ICOs or talking about regulation?
well,
Or
it just
it's tied
it
in?
matters because if
Yeah.
you like your lawyer's not going to say, yeah, go do an ICO. Like not like Jason Gottlieb actually sent a very good email to folks like when Trump got elected, and he was just like, yes, it's obviously super, important that there's a shift in the tone and the stance, but be cautious, right? Like there's
Yeah.
still certain things that your lawyers are going to tell projects like, hey guys, like, yo, there's a way in the process. So I'm not like advocating, and I don't think it's going to happen where you have like full on ICO mania like you did in 2017. No, I don't believe that. I think it will be more so expressed in Echo funds, Echo, coin list. And that just changes the meta around how fundraising works. Uh, I don't know how much I still think institutional rounds are going to be a thing. I think VCs are still going to be very much a big part of this industry. Like that's not going to go away, but it might just change the dynamics.
Yeah, I also had something around ICO. It's funny. Okay, on the regulatory side of things, I said Trump's impact on regulation ends up being less than people think.
Bingo.
So I agree with you. I did say Trump's impact on the US Renaissance ends up being much larger than people think. So the impact on regulation is less than people think. The impact on this US Renaissance is larger than people think.
Yeah.
So that is related to what you're saying. On
Which,
on
by the way, at this
ICOs,
point, oh, sorry, finish that thought.
on ICOs, I said my prediction is there will be an ICO of more than $100 million. There will be a $100 million ICO. The difference from ICOs from 2017 to today is they're going to be slightly more regulatory. They're going to be like more buttoned up ICOs. Like if you sign up for Echo, like the Echo onboarding is pretty thorough. It's accredited investor questions. It's, are you aware that you're probably going to lose all your money? There's going to be greater investor protections. I think they're going to be subject to stricter regulatory scrutiny, but I think they will still happen. And I think this could be seen as, like, remember those crowdfunding platforms that like none of them worked, like outside of crypto. This could be seen as like a kind of golden moment for crowdfunding again.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the difference is, back then it was like there were basically, now I think the VCs will actually also participate in these ICOs. Like I think you will see VCs signing up on Echo and Legion, or at the very least, just participating at the exact same terms. And so that will bring a lot of capital. It will also demand that these projects have higher standards and better due diligence, I would say.
That last part I think is the most important. Like to be fair, like go back to 2017, like some of the larger ICOs were done in this manner. Like you want to do like Filecoin, Definity, Basecoin, Tezos, all of those that were really large, though all of those required like this onboarding, and you had to like KYC.
Yeah.
But it was more so like maybe on this point, ICOs, and when I say ICOs, and I think it's when you classify them as ICOs, it's like it's just everyone on their same terms, bigger rounds, one round, and the token is launched, and there's higher float out of the gate, and that has healthy dynamics. From an information disclosure standpoint, I think there will be a standard. And a lot of that will be enforced by folks like Echo, right? Which is like submit the deck. Like when you invest in AngelList, and I appreciate not everyone can do that, but I think the combination of you have a way to fund a deal, which is called the stablecoin, that you have to onboard through some sort of way, combined with some KYC AML, which is only becoming easier to do, right? Proof of identity and source of funds and all this stuff. All of that, you can do bigger raises, everyone on the same terms, and launch a token. And by the way, it's like I think that phenomena is going to really.
What I mean, I agree with all that. What I mean by ICOs too is just, it's less about big raises or anything like that. It's more just the ability for the general public to participate in something, right?
Yeah, accredited.
Yes,
if US,
yeah.
Does that include US persons or not?
Well, is Echo's open to US people, or is it not? Interesting.
Not sure actually. I gotta go check. Because most SAFs like are exclude US persons.
Anyways, moving on from that one.
Moving on. No comment.
Anyways, I do think so. Some other fundraising and transaction related things that I put down for predictions. I think we will see a crypto company acquire a non-crypto company for over $100 million for the first time ever. Maybe it's you. I don't know who's going to do it. No, but I think what I wrote is I'd guess it's going to be an L1 or an L2 because they're the ones with the big treasuries. And this is going to get really interesting, right? Because the regulators are not going to know what to do with it. Both sides will really want to do with the deal. There'll be like weird compliance and regulation. Like the regulators will just have no clue if they should approve the deal or not. But it'll be really interesting, and I think it'll start an interesting trend of, I mean, what you've talked about with what you're doing, which is like bringing traditional businesses on chain. I think that someone will probably beat you to the punch, and if you're an L1 or an L2, you should be probably thinking about this, because there's actually a really crazy valuation discrepancy. Like if you were buying, I don't know, like media in traditional world trades at like
Nothing.
I don't know, yeah, nothing. But like I don't know, tokenized media trades at a lot. Like so, there's actually just a valuation mismatch there, and that's an easy. It's like an easy opportunity. So I think that will happen.
Correct. Absolutely right. I will just leave you with this historical anecdote, which is AOL at the peak of the .com bubble used its stock to buy. The first thing they did when they saw how much their stock was worth was they went out and bought a real business called Time Warner.
Yeah. Yeah, a massive acquisition, right?
It was massive. They swallowed like Time Warner. It was like there was it was and you gotta know that is
$182 billion acquisition
back then.
That's crazy.
They used an inflated stock to buy a real business and grow into that valuation. If you're sitting on a bill, 2, 3, 5, some of these treasuries are sitting on L1 or L2 treasuries are sitting on like sizable amounts, like 10 billion, 20, 30 billion.
Who has 20 billion? Solana's treasury's got to be up there. Solana's probably got them. Just, yeah.
I mean, a lot of this, they typically own like anywhere between 5 and 10% of the total token supply. Now, is it liquid? Like, can they sell? Yeah, but do the math, right? Collectively, these foundations have massive amounts of treasury value, and they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they, I would, I don't want to say activism is going to be a thing, but you know, how projects and foundations allocate resources is one of the biggest opportunities. To your point in crypto,
yeah,
it is. Said differently, I'd be doing it in a much different way if I had.
Yeah. So I think that will happen. I do think you're right. Like something around buttoning up how these treasuries are managed will probably happen. But yeah, anyways, I think an L1 or an L2, this is my prediction. Yeah. L1 or an L2 will acquire a non-crypto company for $100 million. I also think there will be another $1 billion crypto acquisition. We saw Stripe do the stablecoin acquisition for $1 billion. The biggest one before that was Galaxy acquiring BitGo for $1.2 billion, but that deal fell apart.
That fell apart.
Yeah, that deal fell apart. I think you will see another $1 billion acquisition. Yeah. I also think you'll start to see, I'm just continuing with my predictions of fundraising and deals and transactions. I think you'll see a lot of funds announce big raises in the first half of the year, but it will be smaller than their last round. Their like fund 3 will be smaller than fund 2. Right. But I think by the end of the cycle, you'll see the return of the mega raise, right? L1 and L2s raising 300 million, 400 million, 500 million. And then the very last thing I'd say, there's a lot of predictions on this bucket for me, is I think you will see a lot of successful companies with small, like sub 10 person teams that don't ever really raise venture. Maybe they raise like a seed round on Echo, but they never really raise venture. And you mentioned Hasib's predictions. I thought one of the most interesting ones was around software engineering agents.
Right.
And I think he's dead right about this. He said, in a post-AI era, instead of having to raise millions of dollars for a seed round, you'll be able to launch an application with 10K of AI cloud compute. And so I think what this will do is there are projects, right, like Hyperliquid and Jupiter that never really raised either much venture or any venture, and they just have these small teams. I think that will start to be the norm.
Right.
And I think that's a really interesting, exciting opportunity. You're just going to see 100x in the number of companies that go on chain. So,
agreed. What's your next category?
any AI predictions?
Yeah. One is tied to just crypto focus. The other one is more macro.
Okay.
AI as a narrative and projects continue to grow. You will see some of the more exciting and dominant projects in the category of top 5, top 10. The composition of the top 10 AI projects in crypto will change. A lot of that will be newcomers that launch a token that have been working but don't have a token yet. And I'm biased because obviously, like I see it from my portfolio. I think some of the best quality AI projects haven't launched a token. Hyperbolic. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but like projects like Hyperbolic, MyShell, Cusco, like those three, I'm very excited on. And obviously, look, I have a position, but I think that the quality of those, they don't have a token, but eventually, if they do, I think those type of projects, along with others that I haven't backed, I think will eventually launch. And once they do, they will become more like top 5 or top 10 AI projects. The category grows as a whole. Currently, it's what, 50 billion? We said,
yeah, 50 billion.
So that grows probably to 100. And a bucket is not just infra, but a lot of this AI agent stuff that you're seeing, like powered by virtuals and other projects.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say on this bucket is from a macro standpoint, Jensen Huang and NVIDIA are more important than Jerome Powell. Like everyone will be watching their earnings. And if that softens, everything goes down. Like that is just, the market is anchored to that, and that is the proxy you got to watch. I'm not watching Powell. I'm watching the treasury rate. Yeah. If the treasury rate holds 5 and is sub 5, the most important thing will be looking at NVIDIA and their earnings and what that stock is doing. Because if that doesn't do well, we're going to have a problem on our hands. Like that was the only thing that derails my super bullish. We're both super bullish on 2025. I'm positioned that way. I think it'll be a breakout year. You look at, like, I was reading JP Morgan's The Alchemist report that came out. He draws on 2 like historical analogies, like or one, which is I think useful, which is we've had 2 years of the S&P and NASDAQ go up like plus 20%. The probabilities, the odds are stacked historically speaking. Like once you have those 2 break like really strong years, like third one starts to become like the historical precedent is not strong there. But again, AI I think is the saving grace. It's the thing that like pushes us forward. I'm worried because on AI specifically in crypto, we all know what the hype cycle is, right? I think AI will go through that too. Like the amount of savings that you can realize, the amount of actual tangible results. Like you're already seeing the cost of H100s go down a lot this year. This is like the, for people tracking this throughout the year, like for a while there was like all the supply, the constraints around getting your hands on these chips to do inference and training and all this stuff. Like companies like Tesla and others, like were just putting in massive orders, right, for H100s. Now that price has come dramatically, like really, really low. People should go listen to the episode I just recorded with Sam from Cusco. So the question is like, okay, like throughout the last year and a half or so, people bought all these chips. Now, what do you do with them? And how quickly does it show up? And I think that might be the only thing that really kind of derails us in 2025. Like, it just doesn't materialize as much. It will happen, to your point, around 5-10 years. Absolutely. But people need to see the P&L impact. And I just don't think it's going to come to fruition as much. And for that reason, I want to have liquidity this year. I'm not jumping on, like, especially if the rate is 5%. Fuck, man, I don't get paid 5% to just chill. I'll do that. I'm still super long on crypto. I don't have to be super exposed, but from a positioning standpoint, like just taking AI is the central most important thing that I'm focusing on this year. Because if that doesn't do well, then we have a problem on our hands.
Say more about what that means. Say more about what that means for how you position. Like AI is the number one thing you're focused on.
I'm not a macro guy, but I just think that, like, again, if treasury rates don't blow up, they're at like 4.6 right now, 10-year treasury, something like that. If it holds that line, it doesn't blow up above 5. There's something very psychological above 5. And I think the market just agrees on that. If it doesn't, if it holds that level, and there are reasons why you should be worried, like inflation might come up with some of the policies that Trump has been vocal about, like tariffs, right? That has an inflationary impact, right? But you can argue that there's like other things that, technology always is disinflationary, so AI could be disinflationary in ways. So, like, again, it just needs to show up in the P&L.
Yeah.
And if companies, everyone's excited because you can rip and replace stuff, like companies become more efficient. But I think usually humans just tend to overestimate with technology the impact in a short period of time. And I think we've been in those like 2 years of like massive ramping up of like the hardware and it's like, okay, well, so what? And it's not to say that like the benefit is not going to be there. It's just like a difference, the spread between the actual expectation and how much of and what is actually realized. So for that reason, that's my takeaway. Like, I'm very focused on, I think the treasury rate is at a point where I feel comfortable like getting that 5% holding liquidity, because I am worried about just AI and Nvidia not just performing as well this year. And if that doesn't do well, nothing will do. Like, just innate. I mean,
Yeah.
can you imagine a world where Nvidia goes down 20% and Bitcoin goes up, like, and crypto as a whole goes up 50?
That's an interesting take that the last couple of years everything was trading on the rates, and now everything is trading on, I mean, when I think the next earnings is like mid-February. So it does feel like that's what the whole market is watching.
And by the way, like, that might be a great opportunity to put in a like a cycle trade, which is, man, if assets go down 20-30%, and you have liquidity, boy, I mean, that's great, because you have a 4-year administration that is like very much pro innovation, pro AI, pro crypto. You've never had that. But if Nvidia doesn't do well.
We're going to end this by talking about the cycle.
By the way, any comment on that? Like, I'm just trying to concretely tell folks that I'm of the mind that I'm bullish 2025. Like, none of these predictions matter, really. We're going to get them wrong. I will. Like, it's all in the margin. I think the most important thing for me that I want to get right every year, I want to get one or two things very, very right. And for me, it's the setup for crypto has never been better in the history of this asset class. I believe it. You've never had this pro stance. You've never had the setup of Bitcoin, the excitement there, the administration, the regulatory stuff that will take time, but it's a big inflection point for the industry. But I'm very mindful of macro, and I'm not an expert, and I'm just holding some dry powder to really jump, because if you see Bitcoin at 70 or 50, could happen. You would love to have, you know what I mean? So I don't feel super compelled to, like, I never advocate for leverage ever, because as we all documented, like, our predictions were very wrong. Some of them, like last year, and that's just the nature of the game. But liquidity is just essential to bid when others don't want to.
Yeah, I wrote this piece. Just talking about 2025. I wrote this piece, like 2024 reflections that I'll send to you. It was like a look back on the past year, and while we're aiming, it was reflections from our 7th year in business. Blockworks just finished our 7th like full year, and I wrote this thing. I said, folks at Blockworks are sick of this story, but I'll tell it again. 3 months into starting Blockworks, Mike and I met with a successful entrepreneur at his office in New York. We wanted his advice. How could we compete with the incumbents like CoinDesk and Cointelegraph, the upstarts like the Block and Decrypt, and the institutions like Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal? And I remember very strongly feeling like this was just a Herculean task. And he gave us this one piece of advice, which was, in an industry as volatile and vicious as crypto, sometimes all you need to do is survive. And this became and continues to be a foundational principle for Blockworks. And as this relates into what you're saying, we have run Blockworks very differently than many of our competitors, which is, instead of chasing every last ounce of growth, we've intentionally made decisions that sacrifice all out growth to stay default alive. And that is like what I'm thinking about a lot going into this year, is like the amount of growth and money that you personally can make and your company can make if you're a founder is just, this is the year. However, this is the year that can also kill you in 2026 and 2027 if you don't make the right decisions this year. So like, I want to make as much money as possible this year personally, and I want Blockworks to grow as much as possible, but I'm not willing to let either me personally, like my personal, portfolio, or more importantly, Blockworks die in 2026 and 2027. So I will start to think about how to be a little more risk averse than I was in 2023 and 2024. I was very risk on. And this is the year I will start to think about how to get a little more risk averse, even though I know I will leave a lot of money on the table.
Man, you nailed it. Survive. I'm of the mind that I'm never going to capture 100% of the cycle. 80. I'm happy if I capture 50. That's just something that I've adopted, and boy, do I take a lot of risk. Like, I'm not shy to take it. I've thankfully was in a position to really, really allocate to private deals, like early stage stuff, when a lot of VCs were not showing up during the Luna bust, during FTX, post FTX. It was crickets, man. You'd send a lot of deals that you and I were looking at, and a lot of VCs just didn't do them, and it was a lot of them were just composed by smaller funds, or that had just raised capital, or just a lot of angels. And I think right now, like, you always want to be bidding when no one wants to do it, when everyone is turning down that deal, and you're like, okay, it feels uncomfortable, but we're not in that position. So, I think it's wise to trim, to be prudent, to just be cautious, and always. I don't want to be sounding the alarm. I don't want to be a canary in the coal mine kind of thing. But it's like there's always things that you don't foresee, and I think there's a lot of reasons to be really excited about this industry. I think the share of speculative activity that crypto has right now is at an all-time high. Like, it's just really high. I think one of the things that we haven't really touched on is deepen, but deepen and stablecoins for me is really what shows the world that this is not a piece of abstract technology. It is like concrete. It's useful, and you start not even like leading with crypto. The word crypto becomes irrelevant. The word Ethereum becomes irrelevant. The word Solana, all these brand names that we talk about as crypto natives become absolutely irrelevant. It's like you have a tokenized dollar and you're earning yield, and you can punt tokenized stocks. Like, let's go. Like, you drop the tokenized, you can punt stocks. And that's just the way to do it. And it's why I'm so excited about why I'm building an inversion, is because that's our focus. It's like, I want to take what deepen, the proof points you have there, and I never want to build distribution. I think there's really good businesses in the real world, to your point, that could really, you could tap into that distribution and do a pivot, or just layer on crypto, and the setup is good.
Yeah.
But honestly, we have really, as an industry, it's a call to action, really. I know there's fantastic builders that have been really building relentlessly, and the drive is there, but we have really kind of 4 years to prove that this is actually, I mean, the reasons why
We've got the golden setup. Now is the time to prove.
You got a penalty shot, you got a free throw, like you're in the whatever red zone, whatever sports analogy you want to use, you got to score. We have 4 years to figure that shit out. So we should be, as an industry, really aggressive, and I think a lot of people are. But there's always reasons why it could be derailed. But yeah, I think it's time to really go at it hard.
Yeah. All right. Wrapping up with my last predictions. My AI predictions here are, I'm seeing a lot on the timeline about, like, if you're in meme coins, pivot to NFTs. If you're in meme coins, pivot to AI. AI is overhyped. Pivot back to memes. Sell your AI for Pengu. I think that both. I'm actually very curious to see if you agree with this or not. Both memes and AI agents will win this year. I think it's not a sell all your memes, buy the AI agents, sell all the AI agents.
I mean, I just don't make the distinction. I think it's just
all,
a bucket. They're all like memes, and within memes, like AI agent. I think. Well, I guess you could argue they're like non-meme AI agents ish, right?
They're trading like memes. So
yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
Man,
There's no
Bitcoin's a meme. Everything in this asset class trades like a meme.
I think they all work. I do think AI agents are the metaverse of this cycle. It is both very correct long term, and people will make a lot of money this cycle. But also, most of these are just ChatGPT wrappers, and most of them will go down 99% in the bear market, and it will be the top thing at the top of this cycle, where it's like, I mean, AI agents like probably rip like 10x from here, 5. I don't know. Like they probably are a great trade, but you probably get smoked on the downside.
But if they have liquidity, the
Yeah.
reason why I've been vocal about some of these coins is, as a category, memes have a lot of liquidity. So, you want to make sure that the door on the way out is pretty
Right.
wide, to be able to capture, 80, 70, 50% of the return profile, right? Because you're
Right.
never going to top it. But so anyways, as a recap, um, we are not oracles, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell from 2024. I think we're thematically very right. Obviously, um, it all really just it pays to be in the trenches. It pays to be focused, I think, but also express your view, which is one of the things that I find to be one of the more interesting features of this asset class, is that it's venture with liquidity, and so that allows you to make multiple bets on a particular sector and category. And I've always thought that like the ability to put on construct your portfolio as a way to like where you're going to focus your attention, understanding that it's fairly limited. But like going into this year, I think I'm my focus is on obviously my portfolio, my venture portfolio, and seeing how that performs. Like we didn't talk about Bera, but Bera, for instance, there's interesting phenomenon happening there. I mean, they've just probably going to close on $1 billion of
Yeah.
commitments. Proof of liquidity as a concept is fascinating. Talk about like the a lot of the work that Cosmos has done. We want to be right about Cosmos. It's just going to be right with like Avalanche and like Bera or something, or Celestia. But I think super interesting stuff. Like I've spent a lot of time with Layer Zero guys. Like the interoperability, like the tech is very much there, is what I'm trying to say. So now it's like really will be really interesting this year. On the application layer and what happens
Yeah.
there, both on the venture and the funding stuff, like, and the projects that come out of that, not just like because I felt like over the last couple of years, there wasn't like a ton of innovation. There was a lot of copying from ecosystem to ecosystem around NFTs and DeFi. But I think as you have like really low latency protocols like Mega and others, like I think it's like there's some really good projects out there that are like trying to do really new stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I have one more prediction I forgot to say, which
there you
is
go.
centralized crypto companies are going to start launching tokens. No chain, no tech, just a token.
Huh.
And it ties back to this mismatch in valuation multiples. Um, and specifically, I think it'll be a lot of the 2021, 2022 cohort of overvalued crypto companies that where their back is basically against the wall. They raised at
Mm.
too high valuations. And the way to get out of that is to launch a token. And I think there's a lot of eyes actually on Kaito right now. Not saying Kaito isn't overvalued. They're Kaito's a great company.
The
They're
Kaito,
not.
for people that don't know, is like the Mindshare. It's like a social analytics platform.
Yeah. And I'm watching that very closely because uh they're just a research and data business basically. Like they're just like they should just be like a SaaS business, but they've got these yaps and they've got the
Yeah.
Yap leaderboard and there's a lot of hinting that they're going to launch a token and they
Mhm.
drop these NFTs and they're trading at 4 ETH right now. And I think, just talking to a lot of founders and different chats and calls over the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of people looking at what Kaito's doing.
Mhm.
Because if Kaito launches a token, Kaito doesn't have a chain. They don't have there's no tech. Like they're just like launching a token, right? And
I mean, there's tech in the actual business, yeah, but
no, the business is great tech, like yeah, but like
yeah.
there's no token to secure a blockchain or anything.
Right, yeah, no. I
It's
did
just
connect some. Yeah.
it's a token as a financing mechanism, not a
Yeah.
token as a
Yeah, absolutely.
way to secure a network, right?
Great, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the promise of crypto, always has been. Like, it's just like it is a very good way to like make your customers stakeholders, and like it
yeah,
serves for customer acquisition, scaling your business, funding your business. Like, it's a more efficient market, presumably, because
yeah.
it just is a global capital market. I think there's a lot of. I just want to add to that very quickly. There's a lot of, to your point, a big cohort of companies that raised and just are kind of not going to raise another round, but could go this route. But the other one is like maybe you see a lot of these projects like launch their own rewards program, is how I think of it. Like and
Mm,
it's just a token. Like it may not just be, it may be an NFT like patrons for Infinix, and then maybe that morphs into something else. But like that, like I think there's like already interesting experiments happening, and they've been well received. Like Infinix raised 53 million for their patron sale.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty good.
Yeah. So
node sales too, there's different things, but yeah.
Big year ahead, man.
Yeah, we're gonna be here in this chair, whether you like it or not.
We'll be here. I'm very excited to have you in New York more. We're building this podcast studio. So we'll do more in-person showings. Maybe we could do like a live podcast at the Blockworks office. That'd be fun.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll commit to doing that at least once a quarter, at least. Maybe once every month or two.
I'll believe it when I see it, but yeah, sure. Yeah.
Dude, what? Okay, let the record show.
So you got an office, right?
Yeah. But let the record show that when I was in New York, I text you and say, "Hey man, can we do an in-person recording?" Crickets. All
right, that one was on me. That one was
okay.
On me. I will
the record straight.
Yeah.
But anyways, big year ahead, guys. Like no matter what happens, we'll be here. We'll be bringing on some of the best people to talk about stuff. And if you do want to hear about, now that we have that Telegram group, I think it's been great addition. So hopefully more in-person events and some great guests, right? So if you have any ideas around that, please drop us a line, a comment on YouTube, Telegram. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. It's a real treat, honestly. As I was reflecting on 2024, when people ask me what are the best things that I do, it's like this is like top 2 or 3, by far. Because so thank you, sir.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, let's make it a big year.
Indeed.